My dear friend, we have traversed many landscapes of the psyche, examining the intricate interplay between Eckhart Tolle's insights and my own analytical psychology. We have dissected the ego, confronted the shadow, explored the nature of emotional pain, and contemplated the pathways of inner stillness and active imagination. Today, our discourse ascends to the very pinnacle of human aspiration, the ultimate goal of our inner work. Mr. Tolle speaks compellingly of spiritual enlightenment as the supreme aim, a state of profound liberation. This concept, I find, demands a rigorous examination through the lens of my own life's work, the arduous yet deeply rewarding process of self-realization or individuation.
Are they the same thing then? Different words for the same destination?
It is crucial to understand whether these two paths, seemingly converging on a similar summit, are indeed one and the same, or if they represent distinct, albeit complementary, approaches to the ultimate transformation of the human spirit. Let us then, with open minds and discerning hearts, delve into this most profound of comparisons.
How does Tolle define enlightenment?
Mr. Tolle defines spiritual enlightenment not as an achievement of the ego, but as a radical shift in consciousness, a state of permanent presence, a profound liberation from the incessant demands and illusions of the egoic mind. For him, it is an awakening to one's true nature, which he identifies as pure consciousness, the formless being that underlies all manifest existence. This state is characterized by a deep inner peace, a joy that is unconditioned by external circumstances, and an end to the suffering that arises from identification with thought and form. You see, this is quite significant. Tolle is not speaking of some future achievement, some spiritual prize to be won through years of discipline. Rather, he speaks of a recognition, an awakening to what has always been there, obscured by the mind's incessant chatter.
What characterizes this state?
He describes the characteristics of this enlightened state as a profound recognition of one's identity beyond the personal story, beyond the psychological form. It manifests as a deep inner stillness, a spaciousness of awareness where thoughts and emotions are observed without attachment, and where the past and future lose their tyrannical grip. In this state, the individual experiences a profound sense of interconnectedness with all life, a dissolution of the illusion of separation. It is a return to innocence, a rediscovery of the joy of simply being, untainted by the mind's judgments and interpretations. The suffering that once dominated one's experience is seen as mind-made, and through the light of presence it dissolves.
And the path to this state?
The path to this enlightenment, according to Tolle, is deceptively simple, yet profoundly challenging for the ego. It involves continuous presence, an unwavering attention to the present moment, which he sees as the only point of access to the eternal now. This is achieved through practices of disidentification from thought, recognizing that one is not the voice in one's head, and through radical acceptance of what is. By surrendering to the present moment, by ceasing to resist reality, one opens oneself to the flow of life and allows the deeper dimension of consciousness to emerge. For Tolle, enlightenment is not a future goal to be attained, but a present reality to be recognized and lived from. This is where his teaching differs from many traditional spiritual paths. It is radically immediate, accessible in this very moment.
Your concept of self-realization seems quite different.
Indeed. Now let us turn to my own concept of self-realization, which is inextricably linked to the process of individuation. As I have reiterated throughout our discussions, individuation is the lifelong psychological process of becoming a whole, integrated individual. It is the process by which a person becomes a self, a unique, indivisible totality, by bringing into conscious awareness and integrating all the disparate aspects of the psyche, both conscious and unconscious. This is not a static state, but a dynamic, ongoing journey of becoming.
This is not an ego-driven process, though.
It is crucial to clarify that self-realization, in my framework, is distinctly not an ego-driven process. In fact, it involves the ego's proper subordination to the self, which is the greater totality of the psyche, the archetype of wholeness. The ego, as the center of consciousness, must learn to listen to and serve the self rather than dominating the personality. This means recognizing the ego's limitations and allowing the deeper wisdom of the unconscious to guide one's life. It is a humbling process where the ego, while strengthened, learns its rightful place within the larger psychic structure. Think of it as the difference between a king who rules tyrannically versus one who rules in service to a higher law, a greater wisdom.
What does this process involve?
The process of individuation involves a conscious confrontation and integration of numerous unconscious contents. This includes the shadow, our repressed, disowned aspects, the anima or animus, the contrasexual images within the psyche, and various archetypes that emerge from the collective unconscious. This integration is not about eliminating these elements, but about bringing them into conscious relationship with the ego, understanding their meaning and assimilating their energies. It is a process of expanding consciousness, of making the unconscious conscious, thereby enriching the total personality. This arduous work often involves grappling with inner conflicts, paradoxes, and the tension of opposites. One cannot simply observe the shadow and let it pass like a cloud. One must meet it, dialogue with it, understand what it carries, and consciously integrate those qualities into one's being.
And the outcome of this process?
The outcome of self-realization is a more complete, authentic, and ethically responsible individual. The individuated person is not perfect, but they are whole. They are capable of holding the tension of opposites, light and dark, good and evil, masculine and feminine, within themselves without being torn apart. They live a life that is congruent with their deepest inner truth, contributing to the world not from a place of egoic ambition, but from a profound sense of purpose and connection to the self. This process leads to a unique expression of one's being, a realization of one's inherent potential, and a deep sense of meaning that transcends mere happiness or fleeting joy. It is not about achieving some eternal bliss, but about becoming truly oneself, with all the responsibility, depth, and authenticity that entails.
So where do these paths converge and where do they diverge?
Here we arrive at the heart of our comparison. Both concepts undeniably aim at a profound transformation of consciousness and a release from suffering. Both seek to liberate the individual from the confines of a limited, ego-bound existence and connect them to a deeper, more expansive reality. This shared aspiration for ultimate human flourishing forms a significant convergence. Both Tolle and I recognize that the ordinary state of consciousness, dominated by incessant thought, identification with the personal story, and separation from the deeper ground of being, is a state of suffering. Both of us offer a path beyond this limited existence.
Yet the methods differ considerably.
However, the methodological differences are striking and crucial. Tolle's path to enlightenment is one of direct experiential transcendence. It emphasizes emptying the mind, disidentifying from thought and emotion, and resting in pure presence. The goal is an immediate, unmediated experience of the formless, a direct apprehension of being. It is a path of radical simplicity, focusing on the how of presence rather than the what of psychological content. It is a spiritual discipline that seeks to dissolve the structures that create suffering.
While individuation takes a different approach entirely.
My process of individuation, conversely, is an analytical, integrative journey. It does not seek to dissolve structures, but to understand and integrate them. It involves a conscious confrontation with the unconscious, a meticulous exploration of its contents, the shadow, the anima or animus, the complexes, the archetypes, and their assimilation into the conscious personality. It is a path of making the unconscious conscious, of expanding the ego's capacity to hold and integrate the vastness of the psyche. The how involves symbolic interpretation, active imagination, and a sustained dialogue between conscious and unconscious. One does not transcend the psyche, one completes it, makes it whole.
And the role of the ego, this seems crucial.
Perhaps the most significant divergence lies in the role of the ego. Tolle's teachings often imply or explicitly state the necessity of ego dissolution for enlightenment. The ego, for him, is the primary source of suffering, a construct to be transcended. While I too recognize the dangers of an inflated or unconscious ego, My view is that a healthy, well-developed ego is absolutely essential. It is the center of consciousness, the organ of perception and adaptation. Individuation does not seek to dissolve the ego, but to strengthen it, to purify it, and to place it in proper relation to the self, the greater totality.
A weak ego is not enlightenment.
Precisely. A weak ego, far from being enlightened, is vulnerable to being overwhelmed by the unconscious, leading to fragmentation or psychosis. The ego must be robust enough to hold the tension of opposites, to engage with the unconscious without being swallowed by it. And think of it this way: the ego is like a vessel. If the vessel is cracked or fragile, it cannot hold the waters of the unconscious. It will shatter. But if the vessel is strong, properly formed, it can hold these deep waters and allow them to nourish conscious life.
What about the nature of the end state itself?
Furthermore, one might question the nature of the end state. Is Tolle's enlightenment a psychological end state, or a profound spiritual experience that still requires psychological integration? While the experience of pure presence is undoubtedly transformative and liberating, my work suggests that true wholeness demands more. It requires not just an experience of the formless, but a conscious understanding and integration of how that experience relates to one's personal history, one's complexes, and one's unique archetypal patterns. Without this integration, the enlightened state, however profound, might remain unanchored in the concrete reality of the individual's life.
Spiritual bypass.
Exactly. This potentially leads to what some have called a spiritual bypass, where psychological issues remain unaddressed beneath a veneer of spiritual peace. The shadow still operates, complexes still exert their influence, but now they are hidden behind the language of enlightenment. This is dangerous both for the individual and for those around them. True transformation requires both the vertical dimension, the transcendent experience of pure being, and the horizontal dimension, the integration of one's personal psychological reality. One without the other remains incomplete.
How do we integrate these perspectives?
In concluding our contemplation of Eckhart Tolle's spiritual enlightenment and its relationship to my self-realization, I find myself with a deepened appreciation for both perspectives, recognizing their unique contributions to the human quest for meaning and liberation. Tolle's emphasis on permanent presence and liberation from the ego offers a vital and accessible path for many in our modern, often fragmented world. His teachings provide a direct experiential route to a profound inner peace, a recognition of one's true nature beyond the confines of personal history and mental constructs. For this, his insights are invaluable, offering a glimpse into the timeless dimension of being. Many souls have found genuine relief from suffering through his work, and this is no small thing.
Yet the psychological dimension remains essential.
Yet from the perspective of analytical psychology, while this enlightenment is a crucial spiritual experience, the journey towards true psychological wholeness, towards self-realization, demands a more comprehensive and integrative approach. It requires not just the experience of the formless, but a conscious engagement with the rich and often challenging contents of the unconscious. The ego, far from being dissolved, must be strengthened and purified to become a vessel capable of holding the vastness of the self. The shadow, the anima or animus, and the complexes must be confronted, understood, and assimilated, transforming potential sources of suffering into wellsprings of wisdom and authentic selfhood.
Both are necessary then.
Therefore, I propose that the most complete and transformative path embraces both the light of enlightenment and the depth of self-realization. Tolle's teachings can cultivate the profound presence and inner stillness that creates the necessary space for the unconscious to reveal itself. This heightened awareness can then serve as the foundation for the arduous yet deeply rewarding work of individuation, where the ego consciously engages with the emerging contents of the psyche, integrating them into a more comprehensive and authentic sense of self.
The vertical and the horizontal.
Yes, it is in this harmonious interplay between the direct experience of spiritual liberation and the thorough psychological integration of all aspects of one's being that the human spirit finds its most complete, resilient, and ethically responsible expression. The transcendent experience without psychological integration can lead to inflation or bypass. The psychological work without spiritual opening can become dry, merely analytical, lacking the transformative power of the numinous. Together they form a complete path
towards wholeness.
May your journey be one that honors both the transcendent peace of enlightenment and the profound depth of self-realization, leading you to a life of authentic meaning and wholeness. May you have the courage to face what must be faced, the wisdom to rest in what simply is, and the discernment to know which is called for in each moment. Both paths are sacred, both are necessary, and in their union we find not just liberation or integration, but the full flowering of what it means to be human, connected to both heaven and earth, spirit and matter, the eternal and the personal. Farewell for now, my friend. The work continues always in its own way and its own time.
Become who you truly are.